The purpose of this video is to illustrate a walkthrough of some of the project management and workflow activities you're going to use for your assignment. So step number one, I'm going to have to think about what kind of an assignment, what do I want to be the business model or the business use cases for Team Peter's AI model. Well, a very good way to help me and all of my other team members, which it's just me actually, but imagine I had a bunch of other team members, is with Trello. So therefore, I'm now directing that all teams are going to make a team Trello board, one per team. And I'm going to make an instructor's Trello board you can take and use as a sort of a template to get yourself going. All right, so let's go over to Trello. And there you can see some Trello boards that students in previous terms have done. So, this, I know from experience, this works quite well. Plus, our course outline does contain content regarding project management, team collaboration, and the new Slack channel we have in conjunction with the Trello channel is a very effective way to deliver on that. So I'm going to make a Trello board here. There's my summer AML session. I'll just make it in there. Actually, maybe I'll make a new workspace. So create workspace type. Doesn't really matter. I just prefer going with the blank generic one. I think all of these templates, they make it too busy and noisy. So this workspace is Team Peanuts, Project Management Central. Oh, I have to choose a workspace type. Aha. All right, I'll just go with the generic one. Workspace members, just to demonstrate how you do add members, you have to add them by their email, which they are on Trello. And I always tell my students, log on to Trello with your personal email, because after you graduate, college email goes away, but you might have stuff there you want to keep accessing. So I'll add Peanut. You're going to be adding your team members over there. Or you can also click on Invite with Link. So again, appoint one team member to be the librarian and do that for the team. Oh, I see. Sorry, guys, because I wasn't planning on teaching Trello today. My mind is somewhere else. Yeah, we've created the workspace. We still need to create the board. Yeah, sorry, I wasn't thinking on that. So now I'm going to say Team Peanuts AI Workshop. And it doesn't matter for visibility. I'll just make it public. If you make it, well, actually, because I don't know, conceivably you might have student IDs or something there, which is kind of confidential, so it doesn't really matter. I'll just make it workspace wide. That's good enough. And just give it some background. Now here in my Trello board, which the purpose of it is to project management my assignment, first of all, for all of you, I would like to see a swim lane that contains your team members' information. So team members, and create a card for each of those. And one of the reasons for that, if for some reason I want to go to a specific team member and give them feedback, I can just go on their card and do an @notify on them. It's just easier for me if you do that. And now I'm going to make a swim lane, which is project description. And I'm going to say now business domain, which my AI model is going to be, contained in, the sort of theme or the purpose of my AI model. So my model will, or our team's model will, our AI model is intended to serve the interests of Star Trek enthusiasts. So people who like Star Trek. I'm going to train the model on all of the Star Trek scripts. They're all available in the open source. And then people can, if they have a question about Star Trek, they can ask my model. And if they want to write their own Star Trek script, their own story, they can use it to get starter story ideas for their own story. Our AI model is intended to serve the interest of Star Trek fans. In case you don't know, and I really hope you do know this, you'd be shocked at how many students I have who say they want to work in IT, but they don't watch Star Trek. Star Trek is a 1960s science fiction show about Captain Kirk and Mr. Spock flying around in outer space, discovering new planets. So that's a very simplified version, but if you don't know what Star Trek is, it's good enough. So our AI model is intended to serve the interest of Star Trek fans who wish to converse. This model to learn more about Star Trek and its stories and its adventures, the adventures and heroes of Star Trek. And to write, as a starting point, to write their own Star Trek stories. Right, so now their other team members can collaborate on this. And if I, as the instructor, had a certain question or something, I could say at Peanut, or I could say at all card members, all one of me. Good idea. Tighten it up and provide more context or more details or something. That's how I can easily feed back to you. And then all the board members are going to get notification of that in their email. So now here I'm going to start to do some research for my assignment. So this is my assignment, project management room. So the first thing I need to do now is identify, and maybe I want to have voting or polling among the team members. How or what deployment platform should we use? And then we could have a discussion in there. So I could say to my team members, up or down vote. My idea, let's do it on Hugging Spaces because it's a very well-supported platform, well-supported and well-documented. And it's easy for us as a team to collaborate because if we do it on local premises through GitHub, yeah, I guess you sort of can team code collaborate through GitHub, but Hugging Space is much easier. Easy to team collaborate. Lots of good documentation. And then Peanut might jump in there and say, I approve, or Peanut or other team members might say, well, I think we should do it on Google Colab Notebook because of this and that. And then you can have your team discussions there. So what deployment platform? Now another question, because now I'm getting to, I think it was Probjot was asking about the questions of the assignment. So questions for assignment. In fact, I'm actually going to go and make a separate swim lane for this right here. So assignment questions. Present or share with the instructor or discuss your thinking, your evaluation. And now I think it's going to be much better. I actually should have done this on Trello before, but I sort of thought maybe we were kind of covering a lot of information as it was. But you guys have already dealt with Trello, and I think using Trello will save you more work than it's going to make you. So discuss your thinking about what model you are going to use and why. So let's go and do some research now. So that's a question. In fact, I might drop in another couple of questions later, but I would say just for right now, just for today, if I could ask all of the teams to get their Trello board done and upload the link in a text file to that Dropbox, and just think about this one question. Right, once we've thought about this, we might come up with some other things as we're going along, Prabjot, but that's pretty much the primary question I want you to consider. Well, actually, two questions. One is what platform are you going to use? Well, probably you're going to use Hugging Space, but you might have another one. But the main thing is what model are you going to base your... Oh, here's another question. What is the kind of business theme or the purpose or the kind of usage context or use case for our project? I mean, I know this is the assignment, but I have to know what I'm doing for the project so I can build the embedding. What is the business theme or use case context for our project? And I've already discussed this over here. Actually, I already discussed it here. So I could just drag that over to there. And once I know that, once I know the theme and purpose of my model, then I can start to, once I know what the purpose of my AI model is, then I can start to think about what teacher training model I'm going to use. Discuss your thinking about what teacher training model. And I actually have a lecture note on teacher training models, student teacher training models. I'll share out. We're going to go over it later. So teacher training. Actually, I've showed this to you before, and I asked you to read it before. Well, go and read it again now. I'm not going to sidetrack into this because we have enough things going on now, but this just talks about the fact that you're making your AI by taking a big, fat, richly trained model such as Claude Anthropic or Baby Llama, and you're using certain procedures which are available to you as AIs through Hugging Face to train your own student model on the teacher model. So what teacher model are you going to use to train your student model? And I'll put that link in here. Now, this is how I personally would do it. You can do something else. This is what I would do. I'd go to Perplexity AI, which I love it because it's live on the internet, unlike ChatGPT, which, they cut off the training data a while ago. So just have a conversation with your AI. I wish to make a student AI language model. Conversations with users. Regarding Star Trek. All things Star Trek. Oh, by the way, before I forget, I'm going to go back to my Trello board. And that's one of the things I love the most about Trello board. It's very non-linear because as IT people, we don't do things, sequentially step by step. You have one idea that leads to another idea that leads to another idea. And Trello is a super good tool for keeping track of all of that. So another question, Prabjot, I would like you to address is, where am I going to get training data for my model? Where am I going to get training data for my model? So I wish to make a student AI language model, all things Star Trek. Please recommend suitable or most applicable teacher models that I can train my student model on. Now, the more context I give my AI search, the better a job it's going to do. So I should tell it what my intended usage cases are for my AI model. My intended usage cases, usage cases for my AI model are. By the way, there's another thing I should do. I should come up with a name for my model because I think Claude is a very popular model because it has a cool name. If it was named, I don't know, like Gertrude or something, I'm going to do a search on Claude Anthropic. That sounds cool. It sounds better than saying I'm going to do a search on Gertrude. So I want you to tell me the name. I want you to come up with a name for your AI model. And by the way, before I forget, I'm going to kick out a link to this board. I will go and put it up on Google Classroom later on, or sorry, Moodle later on. But I can share things out. If you don't remember how to share things, watch my video or ask. So I go here to the menu. And it's been a while. Shoot, it's been like a month or something since I've done this. I go to settings. I forget. What do I do? There's a link. There's a place I should be able to get a link. Okay, guys, I'll come back to this later because I want to finish what I'm in the middle of, but I will send out a link to you before we're done. I don't want to sidetrack it here right now, but I'll give you that. Yeah, I'm just drawing a mental blank, but I'll come back to that. So anyway, now I need to oh, share. Maybe it's over here. Yeah, that was it. Share. So I'm going to give everybody a link to jump into this board, and you can do so you can read it and stuff. And join as a member, sure. So I have to get my use cases, which I thought I put here. Where did I put it? It was a thing about learning about Star Trek. theme purpose? Ah, it's here. And I probably don't need both these cards because I'm going to get confused as to which one is which. So I'll throw that one away. Yeah, my theme is there. So now I'll go back to Perplexity, and I will say the intended use cases for my model are to serve the interest of Star Trek fans who wish to converse with this model, to learn more about, or to discover, or to indulge their interests in the adventures and the adventures of and heroes of Star Trek as a starting point to write their own stories. So based on this, which training model should I use to train my own model, my own AI embedding model? I'm even going to share this with you. Maybe this prompt is going to kind of help you in your investigations. So let's drop that into our board as well. So I'm going to say here, project assets. Assets are just stuff you use. Actually, maybe I'll make a separate thing for prompts, AI prompts. What programming language? Python, I suppose. Based on your requirements, you should consider, yeah, GPT 3.5. Why? So Probjot, I think it was Probjot who asked this question. See, that is the kind of thing I want you to think about. So when I'm defending my decision, when I'm saying why I chose this model, I could say, because GPT 3.5 is intended actually for story writing, understand and generate human-like text, built deep learning techniques, massive data sets, right? You can go and get more information there. For your specific use case, you could follow the approach of fine-tuning an existing LLM with the scripts from Star Trek, which I have access to right there on a website called Memory Alpha. This method was demonstrated in a YouTube video. Very cool. So I'm not the first person to think of this. Somebody else thought of it first. Were used to train an AI model. Model was specifically trained on everything data ever said about the series. Python is a great choice for developing your AI model due to its vast collection of open source libraries, right? NumPy, Scikit, Dara, all that are particularly useful for machine learning. More links you can go and study there. When training your model, it's important to follow best practices. These include preparing your data set, selecting the right model, conducting initial training. You should also be aware of potential issues such as overfitting. Ensure your training data is high quality and relevance. In terms of library, you might want to consider using PyTorch or TensorFlow. PyTorch is an open source machine learning Python library based on C programming language. Torch, based on the Torch framework, it's particularly useful for generative AI with large language models. There's a link you can go and read. TensorFlow, on the other hand, is a powerful library for numeric computation, which is probably less relevant. I probably care more about text completion than numeric calculation if I'm writing an AI model, which is going to help people write their own Star Trek stories. Remember, the selection of an appropriate model should involve experimentation on data as close as possible to production data. You might want to also consider using a data set like Persona Chat. I didn't even know about that. That's a new thing to me, which is specifically designed for training conversational. But see, I just learned something I didn't know. I didn't know about that before. And there's a link to it right there. In conclusion, open source large language model like ChatGPT 3.5, fine-tuned with Star Trek scripts and trained using Python would be a suitable choice. All right, I think I can share this link out with you. One thing I love about Perplexity, it's easy to share links out. Just want to make sure this link works before I share it. You'd be surprised how many, each term when I go through assignments, how many things students send work with links. When I click on the link, it doesn't work. Maybe because, it didn't have the public permission or something. Please check in another browser that you're not logged into that any link you send me is actually working. Very good. So I'm going to share my research out here with you over here. Now, guys and ladies, it's kind of a delicate issue here, but I'm going to say it. There's a lot of discussion going on about the use of AI in school assignments. Now, what I say is do not cheat, right? Do not just copy and paste from the AI without thinking about it, because what's the point really? As soon as you go to work or if you go to the job interview, you're not going to be able to handle it anyway. That's like saying if you want to get a black belt in karate, just go to, a martial arts store and buy a black belt. Whoa, I'm a black belt. Yeah, but unless you did the 10 years of work to earn it, it doesn't actually mean anything. So similarly here, do the damn work. However, do be intelligent and creative in your use of AI to help you do the work. And I've talked to other instructors who have different ideas on this. And my answer to them is, why do we use a high-level programming language? Why do we use Python or Java? Why don't we program an assembler language like they did in the 1950s? You say, well, AI makes people lazy. Okay, programming language compilers, you could say, makes you lazy, although it also enables you to complete much more sophisticated work very much more quickly. Plus, you're going to be working and competing with people who are good at using AI, so if you want to get the damn job, you better be better than them. So anyway, make appropriate use of AI. If you have any questions, ping me on Slack. But I'm going to finish now because I need a little bit of a break. I don't know about you guys. I really need a break here, but we're going to finish this before we're done. So Prabjot, all of this started because somebody asked me about questions. So I want to know the name of your AI model. I want to know the deployment platform you're going to use and why. I want you, Prabjot, to tell me the answer to that question. And everybody, what's your thinking to support it? I want to know why you're going to make the AI model, which your embedding is going to be used in. I want you to discuss your thinking about what teacher training model you're going to use. Right there's my discussion with Perplexity. Where you're going to get your training data. Pause it. That just means make some guesses. How I can best source training data on Star Trek scripts and backstories about the characters. So there's some links there. So I'm going to give you a link. Well, I mean, you're probably not going to be doing Star Trek anyway. But here, this is good. Oh, actually, Kaggle has Star Trek? I did not know that. Kaggle has Star Trek script. See, I'm learning new stuff about this every day myself, so that's good. Cool. Wikipedia Memory Alpha, very good. Now, somebody was asking me before about RAG, retrieval augmentation, and I'm going to, because I was sort of thinking about I should bring some stuff like that into the class, but I think as I demonstrate to you how I'm going to make my Star Trek model, that would be, sorry, whoever was asking, I forget who asked, the Jiraj or somebody, that would be a very good example of where to use retrieval augmentation. Because I could go to all of those sites and I could copy and paste down all the scripts into a text document and I could walk over it in my local premises and upload it. But if I can point to it with an AI, assuming I can do that, and some sites are paywalled or some sites have certain little protection things so you can't hit them with APIs, so they don't want people to screen scrape them. But assuming if I can connect to these sites with an API, that seems to me to be a very valid way of doing it. Now, the second problem is I don't think I'm going to do all of this with the sort of free version of Google Colab Notebook. I think there's going to be too much data. However, I genuinely really want to do this. So if I have to spend $50 or $100 on cloud time to do it, I will do it and I will demonstrate it to you. So anyway, here's more stuff you can go and study about. And just to demonstrate more applications of Trello, I could make another comment here. I could, you know, Peanut's my dog, right? In case you don't know who Peanut is. So I'm going to ask Peanut, work on or put together or think about, put together an approach, put together an approach to, he's a smart dog, he can probably figure it out, approach to using RAG to API retrieve Star Trek scripts from Kaggle. Well, actually, Kaggle does let you do that. Yeah, because they're a data science. So if it's on Kaggle, then I'm golden. I'm all good. To API retrieve Star Trek scripts. Retrieve. Star Trek scripts from Kaggle. And I'm tagged Peanut, so he's going to get notified on that. He doesn't check his email very often, though. All right, so what else can I tell you? Well, probably we're going to add more stuff here, but yeah, GPT-3 BERT, yeah. Which is actually surprising. The answer I was expecting to get was Claude Anthropic. Well, I mean, Claude Anthropic was trained on GPT-3 anyway. GPT-3 is still the best thing going out there for a lot of stuff. If we submit Google Colab code, do we need to use Hugging Space as well? No, Prabjot. If you want to submit it on Google Colab, you can do it as follows. And I'm still making a video, so you guys, I'll kick this video out during the break and it'll be available there. I can never remember the URL for Google Colab Notebook. Google Colab Notebook. Why don't I ever remember that? Yeah, I know what it is. What's the URL? Research. That's what I always forget. Collab. All right. So, Prabjot, here's how you can do it. Now, in practice, you might use a hybrid blended approach. You might use, this is what I would do actually. Here's how Peter would. Well, first of all, I would do the whole thing in Hugging Space because I don't actually see much of a big advantage to use Google Colab Notebook. I don't know how that would help me. But if for some reason maybe I was required, if an assignment required me to use Google Colab Notebook, I would probably do 90% of my work in Hugging Space because I have access to really great, code visualization and stuff there. And then I would just copy and paste it over to Google Colab Notebook. So here, Prabjot, you can say new notebook. And you can put your code there, whatever your documentation and your code. And if you want to buy more storage space, you could buy it here. Maybe I'll demonstrate that next week. So you can give it a name. And then you could do some documentation, right? You could put your team members and all that. And then you could put your code there, right? Do some very sophisticated Python programming, like, print hello world or something. So anyway, the point I'm making is I would still probably recommend doing the bulk of your work in Hugging Space, and if you want to present it here, maybe because you like to do it, it looks cool, you can, kick the URL out to your LinkedIn for employers to see, and then you share it as follows. So here, for the purpose of a school project, share it with me personally, right? Don't make it world readable, but you could also do this, right? Anybody with the link, and then you could grab a link and put it up on your LinkedIn and say, hey, this is my AI language project from college. Would you like to hire me to do the same thing for your company? But for right now, for the sake of your project, just address it to me personally. So just say peter@petersigurdson.net. And make me to have editor access. Give me editor access, please. Why? Because maybe I'm going to, well, actually, I'm the owner of this notebook anyway. But if it's your notebook, grant me as editor access so I can go and make some text cells and give some comments or some feedback. So ProbJot, no, you don't have to do anything in any particular way. You can do it according to what's comfortable for you. You can do it on local premises in Visual Studio Code if you want. You could do it in Hugging Space or Google Colab Notebook. You could do it on a Jupyter Notebook on local premises. There might be some other ways. That's the way I'm thinking about. All right, ProbJot, did I answer all of your questions to a completely satisfactory degree? Very good. Now, when you have more questions, we have the Slack channel, of course. Prabjot, would you like us to take, because it seems Prabjot is kind of running the class now, so let's ask her. Would you like us to take a break or keep going with our lesson? Teacher. Thank you so much, teacher. You're very kind. All right, guys, I know we're getting near the end of the class, but I desperately need a break. So let's give it till 11:25, 20-minute break. Resume at 11:25. And I'm going to kick this video